나도 태과 침백이 제 냠수 렘바라 단 군노 전주 심기 심비고네 아니 냠len 치고 거래서 그래서 나 군노 전주 심세데 심자 탐제교도노 상요 고방 토버쇼 심비게 삼로디 군노 전주 데 셈데 전주 심 데네게 삼로 아니 쩨마마임바 데라 쩨마마임비게 용화 템비게 데네 삼데라 전주 심시고래 다 데네게 전주 셈디 데니심비 토네 계획과 가르투베 내용을 상지고 본도 규칙을 해제 인터바치면 주님은 지고래서 데네 인자다 데네 군노 데네게 자주 셈니 개발라 나중에 안 가는 개월에 남는 나중에 셈리야 곰제제는 냠는지도 개월에서 디 냠는지다 간데에서는 나봉하지야 안 셈제 탐질라 땅염 곰 데네 땅염 곰 서유체라 네 셈제 탐제 하늘한게 맞지 용화데 너고 그래서 지난데 디네자다 심전에 제 맞지 용화데 가는 리얼나 당아저기 그지 아주 개월렘발라 아니 토마스요 말에 토마요 말에 지난다 개월 몽보 지랭거를 토마 매반사 아니 개월 빠도 매발렘발에 되게 디네자 네 강도 네 텔레야 개월 멜렘바세요 말 심전디 개월 멜렘바스 매반사 데 디네자 당아저기야 심지 탐절이야 심지 탐절한게 파마지 용어를 쓰는 거 저기 어섬다 디네 섬당 고래시게인데 디고시에서와
Good evening. So we've been looking at the cultivation of the minds of the Mahayana Dharma for the last couple of months. So in order to enter into the Mahayana paths, the paths of a bodhisattva, one has to generate bodhicitta, have the motivation to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, to become a Buddha so as to become the most skilled of guides, to lead beings to a state of lasting happiness themselves. And when the determination to become a Buddha for the sake of others, the mind of bodhicitta, is uncontrived, so it arises spontaneously, it doesn't need to be intentionally generated, that is when one has the mind of bodhicitta, is classed amongst bodhisattvas, and thereafter every activity one engages, physical, verbal, or mental, creates a cause for enlightenment. So how then to generate this mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta within oneself, is to train our mind. To cultivate the mind of bodhicitta means training our mind so that it becomes the mind of a bodhisattva. And this training, behind it has many number of trainings we've looked at over the last couple of years, but the explicit trainings that give rise to bodhicitta start with impartiality. Thereafter, what we looked at last week, cultivating the recognition that all beings, all sentient beings without exception, have been our mothers. And last week we looked at how to cultivate this, how to come to this recognition, which is to make our mind vast and expansive, recognizing innumerable lifespans that we've had within unimaginable life forms over an inconceivable span of time. And in each of these lives, we had a mother. And life after life, we made connection with new beings, or with different beings rather. And thereby we came to have this close and intimate connection with all beings, innumerable times as well. A connection of parent and child. So this is what we looked at last week. How to cultivate this recognition that all beings have been our mothers.
심전함제 마제 뇽아데 삼당 세베제라 다디 제라 카르삼당 오레스네 줄로 자야디 심전함제 랄야 안 진심보 끄든심보 임바데 안 삼당 오레스 디로 장 오레제름.
An independence on cultivating this recognition that all beings have been our mothers, we thereby, thereafter, cultivate the recollection of the tremendous kindness that they have shown us.
다디네 인자 나가는 좀 심전 탐제리야 나가지고 삼도 나라 가리오르스네 기티네 제 소소라라 디기 삼다다 소소라라 디기 용야게 된다라 내가 먹고제나 소소라는 게 동화세야게 된다라 아니 내가 제 지구로 와지사 다 랑리야 디기 되고래 제가 셴리야 디기 Bendigo Mara, Sosorana di Gitundala, Shanley Gangatea, Shanley Yorashia, Shanley Tubzita, Sim Sojocia, La Sopata, Dinigurva, di Carchevare Lamna, Dinihadi, Shanlia, and the Chike, Chamse di Kimatuba Inza, and Shanlia Dungada Gamo, Sosuki Kir, Digi Tundala, Shanlia Gangatea, and the Gorata La Sopa, and Gamam Shungorejirwa.
Whilst the cultivation of bodhicitta may be our aspiration, the truth is right now we're very far from being bodhisattvas. In that what dominates our mind is the achievement of our own happiness and the overcoming of our own problems and difficulties. And thereby, all our energy is directed towards achieving our own happiness. And if that means to achieve our own happiness and overcome our own difficulties, if that means harm comes to others, so be it. If it means taking advantage of others to achieve our own ends, so be it. And with such an attitude, how can we actually develop love and compassion?
당아 주게래 심전리아 심전대비 랑게 진침보 임바 삼다바이나 근데 랑리아 그진침보 임바 삼다바이나 ane pale yabu jeyage samdode kitu gore dine ina semjan tamjirangi tinchimbo imbade ane gomo ngazo samlo nala ya semjan tamjirangi tinchimbo re sambe samlode jango gore jere gomje.
So for practitioners such as ourselves, where we are right now, to shake us out of this self-obsession and become aware of others, the meditation that we're coming to tonight on recalling the kindness of others, this helps lift our awareness from our own happiness and our own overcoming of problems to that of others. Recalling their kindness is a crucial step to shake us out of our current state of self-obsession.
다심전 남지 진침부 임바지 다 장이도 ngazo komyode kanis komgoresne 당보 수수라랑기 안 파마라 삼다제 랑기 체디기 수수라 체디기 파마디 소소리아 진침부 임바 안 삼당고레제.
The training then in recalling the kindness of others, this starts with the recollection of the kindness of our mother of this life.
당아저 체디기 파마디 진침부에 삼다베나 다 당고레시디 다 얘네 네 디젤라 나네 랑게 체디기 파마마임바 다 지게 겨왕아마기 파마기 파마다 디네 심절리아 진침부 삼다 안 디네 자네 심제션다 디게라 지게 랑기 파마 제뇨원자 안디야 심제션다라 진침부 삼다 안도시네 당보 소속의 파마를 진침부 삼다네 디네 마림베림베 안 심제 마마마 디네 심제 탐철이야 삼당 고레제로와.
So we start recalling the kindness that our parents of this life have shown us. Thereafter, we recall the kindness or impute the kindness that our parents in our previous life would have shown us. Thereafter, we expand the circle ever further to other loved ones who have shown us tremendous kindness. In this way, progressively, we start perhaps with our mother, then our parents, and then we expand it ever slightly, encompassing ever more and more beings.
당보 소소라랑 게 파마라 삼다지 공바이나 진침부 임바데 삼노다디 레라 용고레 지나 레라와레 아니 삼다에 김천디게 야가하고도 보레.
The reason for starting with our parents of this life is because it's much easier to start here, in that we can recall directly much of the kindness that has been shown.
단이네 인자 당아 주게 삼다웨나 체텔이야 아니가 주 체디 삼다나 당아 주 밀 삼다나 소소랑 파마치 다디게 소소랑 파마메빈 야홀이야 아니 지미 멍보 아니 점블레레 미 멍보 여러와 지산디네 인자다 두 삼다웨나 소수게 파마니디게 소소랑랑이야 중주원이야 쇠 되는 소소랑 첨보로 제 lobjong chik matuen bado ane pamigi sosoran la suye lobjong chik chungchun ya sokyong che ya ane kala che ya dulo che ya ane soso lobjong da ya ane chik lobjong che jo dindu chene ane kitin denege sosoge pamagi sosol ya pando chenpo jeba inbadi sosorangi hago tugu orwa dakarasana lo mangbo chik lo chukdun jobke chugu nishu sene pama nyamdo de dene ane pamige sosoran la ane chik kala je dulo re ane sosol ya jambu chetan zewa chetan re sosol lobchong chaya kwa le pamige genke yidu jeba inza disung ane zuge hago orwa dene hago wanza ane dele ya samdang je pama diki pama le ya ane kajin chenpo inbade jin chenpo inbade do samdang kore sora.
Whilst in this life, many beings have shown us directly tremendous kindness, not just our parents, but those in our greater family as well as others in society. We start by looking explicitly at our parents, because for a period of nearly 20 years, we were directly under their care. They ensured that we were fed an abundance of nutritious food, that we were clothed, that we were kept in a home where we were safe. They ensured we received a good education, and they exposed us to many other experiences that they believed would be educational and thereby beneficial for us, all to help us grow as individuals and become skilled and prepared for the life that lay before us. So this is why we start with our parents. Because whilst there are many other people who have cared for us, we were completely under their care for so many years.
Dinegi samdang mi mangbo yebene mi chasangi sosolia pando jeda pami pando jewasin da mi mang chege sosolia soso chege pando shara yomar bene lumba nala tarang bo yede da soso nyegor yene zamzam yaji 직대서 판도 용물마도 파만하지요. 마치자다도 som도 민망부 예배 나네 세델이야. 소소 파만이도 소소를 배 마스 약부 제송 산백이 다 소소게 두 섬다베네 나 총준이야 파메도 따와레 단 텔링알라 칼라도 스테바 둘로테 되니 지기 사경아제 되는 닝알이야 제와제 되는 아 토름 랍다 토름 랍다 빠다 되는 랍다 바다도 파미 파기 수련도 신배 직정부修진 두 제바디 소소 하고고요 바자 안 디디신 배 야고레 삼제 파미기 게딘 침보修제샤 삼배도 삼담 다는 되니기 파미기 소소를 게딘 제바디 야네 야도 삼다제 삼다 되니 충중은야 안 소소 충중 기디 갑라 충중마도 요 말에 되니 파미배 답보자와레 안디야 체셔도 두 진딘 땅아도 진 터미널 마든 버도 파미도 제샤배 야고 제도와 삼비기 파미기 소소를 잠제 제바다 게딘 직제바디 안 소소라나 야네 야도 삼다제 두스디 두스 야네 야도 삼당고 파미기 소소리야 판도 제바다 아니 잠부 잠제 제바디 야네 야도 삼당고 레제 땅바이네 안데니 파마디 베 마생알이야 게딘 침보다 야고修제샤 삼비기 소소리야 셈딩기 파말이야 제와시 디네게 그 가후치리고와 가왈리고라 지다
In the starting point of this meditation, we do exclude all those others who have shown us kindness, and there have been many in our greater family, in our social network, as well as those who perhaps even live abroad, whose activities have been of benefit to us. But we start with our parents because of the incredible bond that we have with them, especially in these early many years when we were totally dependent on them. So we think of, especially in the very early years, how our life would have been if our parents had just ignored and neglected us. We almost certainly would not have survived. If we look at then our childhood up to where we gained independence, perhaps when we left home for university or only after we graduated from our education, whether it was high school or university, we were totally dependent on them for the food that was given to us at every meal. All the clothing that we wore was bought for by them. Our education that was given to us, they ensured that we went to school even if our wish wasn't always so strong. They ensured that also we received education through other means as well. Teaching, they ensured that we developed our decision-making capacity, that we had various life skills. They took care of us in all this wide variety of ways, helping us, especially as we then aged or grew up, helping us learn how to make the right decisions in life. Always doing what they believed was best for us, acting in our care, in our best interests, to the best of their capacity. So this is why we focus at the start of this meditation on our parents, because we were so dependent on them, and moreover, they gave so much to us. If we take time and we reflect on this, just what was given to us, much of which we perhaps weren't explicitly appreciative of, this will have a great impact. We'll feel this deep within our hearts.
Bendigo samdane dine yang ji delpa taring samdabene dine pamagi pamadbe masayala gadin chimbo shuresha sam dine samdane dine yang ji sosuge da ami ge maji nyel khorona ami jogona la na dawo mongbo an dawo kus dusin ami jogona la debare debirin la ami ge be ji nge jogona la bu yore sin ama khorona ji be gawu cheda se bu yore se galang la yoada Bendigo Puglia Zewachene, Amigi Dini, Paso Trodical Be, Jixabsabja, Tangi Puglia, Jige, Subunala, Gyan Show Resin Be, Pul Ganga Tigresin Be, Subsabja, Paso Trodi, Nasa, and Jinedu, Kala Sayalia, Jigim Pul Nigresin Be, Kala Saya, Zemiada, Denizin Be, Jixabsabja, Sosupulia, Zewachen, Sabsashu, and the Pamigi Denizin, Dawajane, and the Chictusine. 수분할 유익을 두신 다바자와래 제가 dinne 다바제 뱀마시기 파명알이야 제와치시 두 다바자샤 파마디 뱀마시 그진 첨보레샤 알이야 배 판도하고 쉬우시샤 제가 파미그 마 수분마 뒤엔 차베네 되네 마징할 전부 제정알이야 두신 제바레스 두신의 파미기 소설이야 du cheba di po yane yandu du chen samdangi dang yane yana samdawene dine samdawede dine pamadi sedigi susurang se pamadi be maseralya ketin chembo shurido a sambegi da samno di letu gorwa.
We start then with our parents, reflecting through our imagination how it would have been when they found out that we had been conceived, that our mother was pregnant. And we imagine the joy that our parents would have felt at the time, knowing that their ambition to bring a life into this world had been successful, and now that we had been conceived. And from that moment, from the moment that our parents were aware of our conception, in particular, our mother, in whom we were starting to grow and develop, would have taken such tender care of us. Everything that she immediately would have changed so much of her behavior. Our father too would have ensured that he would have given extra support to our mother to ensure that we received the very best care possible, even whilst we were within the womb of our mother. Every activity she would have done would have had us at the forefront, our care at the forefront of her attention. The way she moved, ensuring that she didn't bring any harm to us. What she ate and what she drank, she would have ensured didn't bring any harm, but was rather nutritious. The way she slept at night, especially as we grew within her, she would have ensured that both of us were comfortable. And all the day throughout her activities, again, especially as we grew, she would have had us at the forefront of our attention, ensuring she brought us no harm. Throughout this whole period of pregnancy, our parents, and in particular our mother, had our care at the forefront of her attention, always with tenderness, ensuring that no harm came to us. And where she could, through the food she ate, she'd ensure that benefits came to us.
Tene ami togo nala yudi kabla tene babagi ne amalya rochi gorwarsni keron sobo nala pugor jesa lega tene 제하다 되는 숙침을 해야다 되는 게 칼라 되는 산에 부글 내기를 된자 sabsabche ora 세하다 되는 바베기 지금 제ля가 레와야 되게 안 결혼지 흘려시 되게 지식 제와선 ल्या가래네 가서는 소식이 온 조건하나 부글지 부글 내기를 밤이기 되는 바베기 부글 제와 제시하는 아말리아 로지야 되지에도 되는 아미 소소 아미 조건하나 유리가블나 되는 밤마다 바바니 아마다 바바니게기 소소를 제와지는 소소 손급제야 털이야 도스치고로와
Our father too would have encouraged her mother to be careful, maybe supported her by acting in a similar way, refraining from certain behaviors and so forth, or doing things where perhaps climbing to heights so that our mother didn't need to, always to help her ensure that their precious child could be brought to term. Reflecting like this, really see that there is no comparison between the tremendous tenderness and care that our parents show us and that we receive from others.
야 밤마 가시 레단이 되었을라 용으로와다 조건하나 보고 유리갑라 안지야 지 보고 매바서샤로다 안데 보기 사회네 보고 요시아서다 니네기 가시 나 니네기 연구로 와다네 지다.
So recalling like this again and again, our hearts are moved by just what care we receive from our parents. Near though, it should also be noted that what we're describing here is the case for certainly the vast majority of parents. However, of course, there are always those unfortunate few exceptions who are, perhaps politely we can say, somewhat less attentive than the majority.
그전 삼마다와지나 다 니니기 제팅 보들 밤에 지장 그전 첨보라지 자고 말이네 세디zam지마도 신지다 망쳐야돼 마치 지용 전에다 먼저 밤에 보고되게 다보게 야고 차야되지 자고로 와.
Whilst there certainly are those who did have quite unfortunate experiences in their childhood and weren't cared for well, those experiences are very rare. And those who have been on the receiving end of such lack of care in this life, certainly though, that would have been an exception across the stream of lives. We can see that in how exceptional such situations are, that they do stand out, and that the vast majority of relationships are where parents do their very, very best for their children.
데네기 저기 미치기 냠내 자주 셈 가서 냠내 취 냠내 제바 있나 다 소소 중중에 내 집밤에 마다제 봐 유샤바다 데네시 따도 맞제바 있는다 세디 파마데 그런 심보에 삼다야디 양갈래 하고라 차고로와 데네인자 나 가지래 밤이기 데네 마다베 있는다 그래서 델야 소소이 체모 마차 봐도 소소를 따도 지긴 미치 용고로 와다야 지 밤이 원에 많이는 따도 지긴 미치게 따도 저 소소라나 지 따도 제야다 첨보제 되네 랍다 다야다 소소로 좀 제하고 겁제해 되네게 따도 제네 밤만 아신진을 제한디 여반사 난디 저기 되네게 소소를 로버제게 판도제게 미티기 다 디수게다 그진지 대샤버 삼단다 밤에게 제바 나신진에 온두스네
And for those who were not cared for by their parents at all in this life, perhaps they were cared by someone else, or that whilst they lived at home, their parents did neglect them. Their parents were some of those that are exceptional in the unfortunate sense of unfortunate usage of that word, but were instead cared for by someone else, then here just replace the reflection. Instead of reflecting on one's parents, replace them with whomever did care for you, especially in those vulnerable years where one had to be cared for by someone because one cannot survive without the care of others.
Do some dance every chill, do some that Yana, some getting chair, that getting chimborisha, some big down a similar chicken, so all a sword, a gate to in the getting chimbore, some leo, then and the girl never did the necker tongue or just up that. Down as the Simjan Tamjer, Naz, Simjan Tamjig, Machi, Noa, to Kiawa Mongole, Kiawa Jame, Kiawa Lenyo, but some Tawainza, and that Chisan Kiawa Maya and the Chiki, Gawakia, and the Kiawa Len, the Amachili, Kiawa Len, Milli Kiawa Len by the Amachiki Kiawa. Chisan Setigi Pamig getting Chebanashi, Kiawa Amage Pamajiki and Alia Dustin, Setigi Pamig getting Chebanashi, Kozu getting to Skyo, getting Chebares, and do some tide. And then Anti Kiawang among my Chisan Kiawakaze, Lembena, Soso Pamale Kiawa Limakaze, Nangi Pamachi Dukabla, Chisan Simjan Tamjing, Chisan Duchi the Pamachebas, and I Kiawa di Lemanoba Sayo Mare, Chisan Kiawa Yane Yadu Lembare, Kiawa Chasang is Simjan Pamachi, Simjan Tamjing Pamachi Noinza, Simjan Tajing Pamachi Dukabla, Sedigi Pamigi getting juicing Alia, getting Yamana, Chasanging Alia dus getting Yayores, Chasa. Sedigi Pamada, Kiawangami Pama, Dingami Pama, Chasalia, Sosulia, getting Jangwala, Kavaji Mindus, Zedan Kongachimado, Kavaji, Chazangida, Kiawangamada, Amangami Pami, Kanishina, Denikiawalindu, Pamadi, Dirikaplia, Nalia, Mas City Pami, getting Jawana, getting Jaware, some Jeducine, and some Dangore Chirwada.
In this meditation, where you feel a welling up of warmth and tenderness back towards your parents, then expand the meditation. At that point, expand the meditation, recalling, as we did in the meditation last week, where we recalled how all beings have been our mothers. We now take our attention back to the life immediately preceding this one, knowing that in that life too, we were born to a mother and we had parents, and we would have been on the receiving end again of tremendous love and care and affection from our parents in that the life immediately previous to this one. So just in the same way that we receive tender love and care from our parents in this life, so too would we have in the life immediately preceding this. Moreover, the life immediately preceding that one too, we were born to a mother and we had parents who raised us with care and with love. And this has been the case lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So taking the meditation previous to this on how all beings have been our mothers, and taking this understanding of innumerable lifespans, unimaginable life forms, and over an inconceivable span of time, we make our mind ever more expansive, recognizing the tremendous kindness and care that we have received in this life, we've received from our parents in the life previous to this and previous to that, and since beginningless lifetimes.
getting chimboy bachipare. Chesa Sedigi Pamada and Chijaban Sedigi Pamada, that the Sedigi Pamame, Simjan Tam Jeda Nanzuki, Lada, Mida, Dundro, that kind of human, Chasan Rangi Pama Genyoaza, Simjan Dizu Chasangi, Sedigi Pamadi Suranlia, getting Chimbocheva, and you contribute to getting Chimbocheva. Chesan Konzo getting Chimbo in Bachibare Shas, Chibare Shas, Simjan Tam generally getting Chimbore Shas. That in it. Simjen Sedigi Pamadigi, Ni Pama, Saragazi Chevarelam, Rangayo Mardati, Bautumeba Chesare. Chesa Dini, the Sedigi Pamadi Rally, Simjen Pamadi Ralia, getting Jebal, Bautumeba getting Chimbo Chesavares. Chesa Simjen Jasan, Jamba Chasan Rangi Pama Jevares, 세디의 파마디에 파마망아 전용하라 잔다디 망아 뉴아 전용하라 되네 개발 매발자 차상 섬전 탐제 하늘한게 파마 빠도면 봐 전용과 기반 섬전 탐제랄야 지 그린 두스tin dingi 꺄바데 빠도면 바래샤 섬제 되네게 섬다지도 되네 섬제 탐제 랄야 진침보 슈지레샤 섬비게 섬로지 안레투고레제 되네 두스tin 섬당고 그래제로와다.
With this warmth and affection that has arisen within us now towards our own parents, we're expanding this back to previous lifetimes, the lifetime immediately preceding this one, the lifetime preceding that, and taking it back ever further, recognizing that there's no being who has not been our parent. There's no being, therefore, who has not shown us tremendous kindness and care. And therefore, each and every being throughout the vast expanse of the worlds, we have had this relationship of parent and child with them, and they have shown us tremendous care and kindness, similar to what we've received in this life. We would have received this from them, whether we were in the life form of a human in a previous life, or when we were in a life form of an animal in a previous life, or an unseen being. Wherever we had parents, they would have shown us kindness and care in accordance with their capacity, to the very best of their ability, in accordance with whatever life form we were in. They would have shown us kindness and care. And therefore, those parents who showed us such care in a previous lifetime, whatever realm they happen to find themselves in now, whatever life form they happen to find themselves in now, they remain our parents. There's just been an expanse of rebirths, a passing of rebirths, an expanse of time between that life or those lives when they were our parents and right now. But nevertheless, they are beings who at some recent point and points previous to that cared for us with warmth and with tenderness. So that relationship, that bond, still remains.
파마르 규리기 세디 파마단 대위 진기 꺄비 진진 샤다인 세디 지사 파마르 규리기 세디 셈젠 탐제랑게 파마제 제디 갑라 아니 규리기 아니 제디 갑라 세디기 파마디게 랄야 그닌 꺄바 나신 사상 되네 그닌 꺄바 지바레샤 선 두스네 안도 아삼당고레제로 진진 샤다인 파마르 규바리 규리기에서 세디 마단 대위 진기 꺄비 진진 샤다인 리행업주를 대지행한조 갈라서는 뭐마시바 마도 심전 탐제 랑이 파마규 마규바 지기야메 세디시 살아와되지 결혼되니 간에 강을 공부들 다 잡샤도와 지기야메 세디 쇼게 시살소 나 다들 가서 파마규레기 세디 지단 드라버 진기 꺄비기 안에 진짜 샤다레 사실 말로 보러와다 그래서
So now turning our attention to the text. So we're at the bottom of page 33. So just to say, the division of paragraphs, let alone outlines, aren't found in the Tibetan. They've just been inserted by the translators. So we're now near the bottom of page 33. All sentient beings have shown kindness towards us equal to the kindness of our mother of this life. Consequently, see them as being only kind.
안도 신앙을 지심전 랑게 체디 파마디게 라레 기딘 꺄바디 파 양네 양도 전수다 전여도 된도 신네 다 저거도 신네 다 잠비기 다 잠바다 셰럽이고 잠바다 셰럽 띵고 될이야 그래서 체디게 파마디라 삼다 잠비기 파 진체 바 파미기 체디 파미기 도 신네 잠바지 될이야 안 셰럽기게 아니 지게 란야 약보체바지 dine ti dule ya dine chedoa nga lapral dine tadoa nga khala dine chedoa nga la sungyup dine chedoa nga chungjung kala dine nyadoa dine tu chene kedin dige jeba yane yado samda ta de nga zo ha go wa de ha mo go ba ta nga zo ge ami zo na le ye ba de nga zo ha go ma mo de ta nga zo ge samdang ro ta nga chenpo chi da ha go ro that 로 구주 계고 주중종알라 판매기 제바디 차상하고 두고로 와디 야고 제바디 제소하고 두고로 지나 디네도 삼단에 제 셰럽기 판매디네 알 제샤 지딩이 짱바디 삼다 안 디네 삼다 차유제라 제산다 체디기 파마디 개왕아미기 파마디게 디네 제요래 디잉아마이 파마디에 제요 제사 샘자 탐제랑게 파마지 용하셔다래 제 뇨도 제비 갑라 체디기 파미기 깨진 제발 혼주에 디네 제발에 서야네 양도 두스 삼다 지딩 안 주기 파미 깨진 제비 갑라 제요도 윰센디 아니 디시 마지마 샘자한테랑게 마제 용하래 서 제요도 제사 샘자한테랑게 마제 용하인자 마지위 갑라 소소 깨진 양바래스 다디지 가서 심전에 마체바데 잘 망고시고 제바레스로와 제뇽아레스 키시로와 제가 잘 망고 제뇽도 잘 망고 가제 망아 제네 소슬리아 게린다가 나지 망고시고 짱요레스 두신에 삼다장을 셰럽기 바 삼노다 셰럽도 제바지 디네에도 삼다 김센도 삼다에도 다다 심전 차사라 체디기 판마다 심전 차사 빼라라 게린 침을 해도 샘비게 소소 게린 침부 임바 하모고 아래 마도 게린 침부 짱짱해서 딩알 게린 쳐와 디게린 마쳐왔으면 차상 게린 침을 해샤 샘비 삼노지 아니 가슴질이야 또 장에도 되는게 게린 침부 임바데 삼노 샘 딩리야 뭐네 게린 침을 해샤 샘비 삼들리 두고 어와
There's meditation then, where we cultivate a remembrance of the kindness of our parents. We use the two mental factors of mindfulness and wisdom. Mindfulness to keep our attention on what we are meditating on, and wisdom to analyze and to use our critical reasoning to establish the validity of this, and with mindfulness then to hold it, to hold our mind here and establish ever stronger familiarity with the reasons that wisdom is meditating on, that wisdom is using to analyze with. So we start by recalling the kindness of our parents in this life, basing on our memory, our recollection of the kindness our parents have shown us. Then of course there's a lot of kindness they showed us that we have no memory of. Whether, certainly when we were in the womb, the kindness that we received then, as well as all the decisions that our parents made for us. When we were children, we would not have been aware of it. They would have kept that from us. The problems they would have experienced and overcome and kept hidden from us, not wanting to concern their children with the difficulties of life. So we base our meditation on firstly what we can recall, and then secondly we join to this what we imagine they would have done that we couldn't recall, such as when we were in the womb, and we do this based on what we observe in the world, what we either, if you are a parent yourself, what you know from your own experience as a parent, you know your own parents would have done for you, or if you're not a parent, then you take what you observe from your friends or your relatives who are parents. In this way, we come to recall directly as well as indirectly the tremendous kindness our parents have shown us. That's the first step in the meditation. And the second is, as was mentioned, we expand back to previous lifetimes. So to do this effectively, we utilize the meditation that we did last week in terms of how all beings have been our mothers. And we now expand this understanding of the kindness our parents of this life have shown us to the kindness that our parents of our previous life showed us, and the life previous to that, encompassing all beings. And to encompass all beings, the third step of the meditation, we also draw on the meditations we've done over preceding weeks on impartiality, where we reflect on that not only can we say there's no being who has not been our parents several times, but also there's no way we can say this being has been kinder to me than that being. So this evenness, this closeness that we developed in the meditations on impartiality, we draw on that now, as well as the meditation on how all beings have been our mothers. We draw on that. And we add to these two meditations the recollection, both explicit as well as inferred, of the kindness that parents show their children.
김센디 진짜 보임바 체디 마디 디심바나 심자 탐제 마지 용화래 디제 도스진 제용도 도스진에 그런 양화래에서는 김센디 나시 삼다지 제바제 근데도 제바제네 다 심자 탐제랑래 진짜 보래샤 선배 삼 제바제제 근데 하고요도 안 제도 되네 안에 셈디 셴 남야 남 가서 가 마땅하지 셈자지 진심으로 셈에 삼 다가랑 미제 안지시도 가도 공부이나 되네 데 조금세 차고래 전에 셈제 탐제 간지네 체디 만나지 셈제 탐제라를 진심부이야 삼제 되네게 삼로 다가랑 다제 삼셈 미베 델데 전에 셈제지도 네제 안디야 셈데 세우 젠 두시네 네네 공제 되바이나 다 저기 조금씩 차고로 와 진짜 딩에지 공부 신의 주변이야 미바 안 될래 대체 두시는 것도 공부이나 다 조금 차고로 제바 마체바체 대시 제바지도 디임베 김전 디레도 와 야와 딜레마 디로스 김지 셔라게 제바체로 너네 제바 김전 망부 제바진 다 셈지 달 빼마시 진침부시 레도 와 선배 삼차위 하고비 하고여도 되네 셈지한테 진침부리 삼제 되네게 될래야 삼 다가라 삼제 안 될래 제주도 니제 로디오 검제 되바나 아주 조금 차거래.
So we use these mental factors of mindfulness and wisdom. Mindfulness, which also has the meaning of recollection, recalling the kindness that we've been received, as well as then keeping our mind on the object of meditation. Then we use wisdom to investigate, to analyze, going ever deeper, here focusing on the kindness that we recall receiving, as well as that we infer through what we've observed in the world, either through our own activities as own experience as a parent, or through what we observe in the world. Then when we come to the conclusion of the meditation, or the conclusion of this each point, where we feel an arisal of affection and care and tenderness towards our parents, a deep appreciation for the love that we have received, we then hold this single-pointedly, we rest with it, we abide with it. Thereafter, when that starts to waver, we again engage in analysis, the same point as before, and then come to that conclusion where we feel a strong appreciation for the recollection of the kindness that we've received, and this strong emotion that we feel, this tender love and care back to our parents. We hold this then with placement. So here, this meditation follows the same structure as all the others that we do, where we sequentially engage in analytical meditation, coming to a conclusion. We hold that conclusion with placement. Thereafter, when that wavers, we once again engage in analysis. When we come to a conclusion, we hold that with placement. And in this way, we will bring about deep transformation. Because it's through utilizing first analytical meditation, whereby the more reasons we use, the deeper our transformation will be. We do this in conjunction with placement, where the greater familiarity we gain with the meditation through placement, the deeper the transformation. So this is how the two are used in harmony. Analysis and then abiding, resting on the conclusion of the analysis.
안디네 자다 저게 semje 담제 랑에 진침보 임바 공고레시데 당보 삼다나데 랑에 파말야 삼다 진침보 임바디 김제 삼다 진침보 삼다 And then Chica Rangi Nye, Pamiki Nye, Punjada, Pami Punjada, Nye Michin, Jason Alaja, and the Pamanashin, that Jin Chempore, and the Carson Kiawa, Tustine, some tire, and Dinajin, that deepa, some Tatsavichalia, and Burma, that Chiki. Susunya, Manga, Taya, Manga, Burma, Missim, Burma, Michin, and Jinchimore, some tire, and Dinajin, that Digelia, and Simja. Ralia never getting you by now, the Solimichi, the Suya Jinchibody, Garson Gumzen, the Chibarwada, Seti Bachi, Kiawamolemba, Pamachino, the Dins and Jinchibors, Gumsen, some Data Chibacha, do some that dinner, some Tamgelia, some the Jinchibori, some tide, the Simja Ganesh Tobe in air, Sedilia, washing by another, washing by another, me, nada, Simja Dundo. Budo Maro Chicane, Toya with the Cablia, or this one again, Jinchimi, some Legitan to Bajico, Resi or Danazuki, Sedigi, Pamigi, getting Javan, the Jinchimbo Chebanajin, or this young Alia, the Negi Jinchimbo or some big Jinchimbori, some big some Logile to Bajico, the name Zanazuki, that is that the Negi, some Jatamjili Jinchimbori, some child, dinner on the Simjin digging Halia, Jinchimbori, some Tavana. Jinpe must Jinchimbore sim dingy Jinchimbore Yapur Jason some Lena, Delia Noviki, some league Nua to what. Suli Yawashu Jason some Lena Sosulia, Delia Gavuki or Gawali Gorova. Gawali Vana, Corlea Jamzili to Gorova. Chisan Pa Noviki, some Chun to Gorova. Chisan Anzo Garson, Pa Noviki, the Manche Magali, Yawu Jason. Chicken never kiss or do I just some layer and Delia and Dindy ten Maduti and Delia never hear some of that and Jigga Maha some legal. She's not Pazu the Jin Chamber so Yawut, Jin Chamber some time, Delia Gawa Jambachina Jambat Gale Lawa and Yungoroa, the Neza, and never hear some of the Chun Rua, the Neza, Jin Chamber some time with him zero.
This meditation, we start then with the parents of this life, recalling the tremendous kindness they have shown to us. And then we blend that with the preceding meditations on previous lifetimes, where we looked at how all beings have been our mothers. So we go back to our parents of previous lifetime and lifetimes, and combine this with the meditation on partiality, where we see that we can't differentiate between beings in terms of the kindness they've shown us. We can't say this one more, that one less. There's no basis for this. Then we expand this meditation further, taking the relationships of the current relationships of this one lifetime and blend it in the same way. So we've started with our parents, and we've then taken back to previous lifetimes, utilizing the meditations we've done to this point. Now we come back to this lifetime, to others we have relationships with, thinking of the others who have been explicitly kind to us. And here we'll probably turn to our other family members, and then take back that out in past lives. We would have had relationships of kindness from them too, where there would have been parents, where there would have been caregivers, where in other relationships they had with us, they showed us kindness. And there's as further evidence that we can't differentiate between beings in terms of a kindness. In this life, family members have been our parents in past lives. The kindness they showed us in this particular relationship, they would have shown us kindness in other relationships in past lives. And here, so we're repeating the meditation, the exact same meditation, but we're changing the person. So the person started with our parents, now others who have shown us kindness. Then, thereafter, when we got familiarity with this meditation, we expanded ever further to neutral beings, those that we don't feel any particular connection with in this life. And recognizing that they would have been our parents perhaps in our immediately preceding life. So we can recall actual people that we don't feel any particular connection with, and bear in mind that they may well have been our parents in the life immediately preceding to this. Or if not, well, perhaps the life before that. But certainly, they would have been our parents who showed us tremendous kindness, our parents who raised us in the best way they possibly could. We can't say if it was our life immediately previous to this, or 2 lives or 3 lives ago, but we know it would have happened. Thinking like this, a warmth and an appreciation arises within us towards someone that, up to this point in our life, we have largely been indifferent towards. Now we recognize all that differentiates them between them and our kind parents of this life is a passage of time, nothing more. There is no difference between them and our parents of this life in terms of kindness shown, care shown, tenderness received. No difference, just a passage of time. When we have been successful in feeling a warmth towards those that previously we were neutral towards, we then towards those whom we consider have caused harm to us or our loved ones in this life. And then towards them we remind ourselves that, sure, maybe in this life they have acted to us in an unwanted manner, but in a life previous to this, our relationship was very different. In a life previous to this, for sure, they were our parents, and they showed us tremendous kindness, tenderness, held us close in their hearts, did all they could to raise us. And this way then, through all the groups, those that we consider kind to us in this life, those we considered neutral, and those who we considered have brought harm to us, we take the relationships of this life and blend it with our understandings of our previous meditations, recognizing that since the beginning of this lifetimes our relationships have varied so that we come to the point where whomever we see or we hear or we call to mind, spontaneously a closeness, a tenderness towards them arises within us. And then we'll notice how from all those the beings that we feel a closeness towards, no harmful intent arises towards them because of the strength of our heart connection that we have generated towards all beings. And here we'll see how this meditation, from this explanation already, you'll see how through the successful cultivation of this meditation, how easy it will be later to generate actual love for all beings without exception.
jingi jidar kyang na asro. Ane garis kya barazan dagi, ane dadi madi ngalda kasori di se, ngaldu yube se, dala negi dosor, yor sowa soki kyang sido, da gajile nga sosorangi ami dhuwa nala yube kabla, ami karche warasin, ngala nugire samche, duru chala jigo chimboji pa ma jaba che pa yoyu sowa, de jagi mes, dangi bugul nugire sada. Yanzi gyoksha lo zhoya de, dine gyoksha, odi dine nga dhugu mes de bugul nugire sada. Dine kala dine, odi jiksa na bugul nugire sada. Dine du chen pamige sabso, shu chen nga sosorarang ami dhuwa nala yube kal pamige dus dine sosolya, nekirin kyangwari sekshi gorem.
We can return now to the text, which will repeat a lot of what we have already discussed. So it starts now on the top of page 34. How has the mother of this life shown you kindness? This was the starting point of this step of the meditation, where we reflect on the kindness of our mother. When you were in her womb, she thought only about how to protect and care for you. So here in this part of the meditation, we reflect when we were so vulnerable, when we had no control over whether our life would continue or not. She cared for us. At the forefront of her mind, whatever she did, and whatever she ate and drank, and her movements, how she slept, always thinking about not bringing harm to us. And moreover, where she could, to be of benefit to us. And almost certainly our Father, where he could, he would have helped to make sure she cared well for us in our unborn state.
Ma Jie San Gana Chigore, that Zene, Jambi, Gui, Den La Sha, La, Sormo Ju, and Sormo Ju, and Kala Langsa, and Jambi Migita, Gavi Sum Su, Sido. China, Tang Ami Ma, John Ma, Dun, Gion, and the Carson Bay, Dulo Man, Re, Jambu, Chigalia, Shashin, Tarasan Zu, Chigni Bulia, Subulia, Nugre Sache, and Re, Jambu, Jambu, Shu, Galia Sha, and Lakbigi to Stenley, Be Chig, and the Mikdan, Pamipe, Chig Zamze, Honia, Mikor, Dadine, the Boot, Geshe Yomagasham, the Ine, Pamik Pat, Chig Jambada, Zay, Tone, Dada, and the Chig, and Ebu said, Ba Zumlia, Gemma Suchin, Gemma Shorchin, Chig Gavi, Nabi Ton Dusin, and Dago Regile.
The text continues. After you were born, she took you and wrapped you in soft garments, held you in her arms, gazed on you with love, smiled on you affectionately. So this, whilst we won't have any recollection of it, if as a parent you will know how true this is, or having observed it in others, that at the point of birth, parents will ensure that their children are wrapped in soft clothing, and it's not just at birth, but as they grow, always making sure they are comforted and cared for. They are given the very best that the parents can afford. Moreover, merely at seeing us, great joy arose in their mind. Hearing us, great joy arose in their mind. They would spend hours with us, entertaining us, educating us, and taking pleasure in our mere presence.
And Pamiki, Zewiki, Zewu, Nuju, Nus, She Trela, Jarase, and then say, G. Dus, the Garsmorsen, Chisna Pamiki, Budpa, Subulpachi, Omate, singing Bud, Salon Chad, Yahu, Dondala, and Joman, Omate, Beshi, Jamji, Omateata, the name Bud, Be, Jambuch, and Sosu Patu, Nyane, Jig Sosu Bulia, to Tam Nyaja, to Sturley Paja. Then they say, Jig Kalate, the Pamiki part, Jig Kanma, Jig Sashi Tambo Sa, Denima, the Soki Pa Jaja Danjan, Ben Ba Jig Dusin, and Lagua Dus Jeben, Lagua, Nazata, Kada Pulia, Nugra Samjipa, Zewa Tone, and Sosu Kanma, Jelly Dungeon, Ma, Jelly Ma Dusin, Jigo, Regere, that Dusina.
And the text continues. Out of mercy gave you milk from her breasts and held you to her body to keep you warm. Then for year after year she prepared food for you. Again, this is something that certainly when a little we're not going to recall, but we would have observed, so we can impute this and know that we were cared for in this way. If you think about it, it's quite a remarkable act of love to be fed from someone's body. And whilst now we have modern baby food, but depending on one's age, but certainly in past times, this didn't exist. So our mother would have chewed harder food to make it soft before she fed it to her young child. And these are really truly remarkable acts of kindness and care that she did solely for our benefit.
This is that book on the year, that's all me, Belia, and the Pamiki book on her, the church, the Sonet, so me, Chedu, to Shania, Belia, Sungu, that Koran to Koyuna, Pamiki, Bull, Sojon, Jetanda, Dus in some Koran, that been a Denesun, the Odire, this which Koran, Yamyot on the Hao to Gura, Denesungorwa, the Nesire. And that is Dandugi that you are Chigi Halpu, so you're Jetata, Chikbaracha, Dinera, the Mare, some the Sigua, and then there's car, Chicosogonchina, there's a car, or Dinesa, Chesuna, Dinesungorwa, Diare. And there's a me Yaki Dokan, Nucho, have the Yaki Chimbainza, sending you Trisha to Nan, Deniki Tone, and Jig, Bugo Sogoncha, that Deniki. din hashinaji de ma chabar meba jin chigyorwa da dineza sosogi disam di samdana adi de pechina sheba nanin de tata mare sambigi jemba siwa kamarwa.
That in text in Tibetan and English is a little different. In English, the translators translated in a way appropriate to our modern times. The Tibetan is more explicit in terms of, for example, the mother chewing the food and giving it to the child from her mouth, because the text was composed in Tibet many centuries ago, based on the experience then of how parents and mothers would have cared for the young children. So in English this isn't so evident. The translators made it more appropriate for our modern times. But Genla is now just saying that whilst there are some differences between how children were raised and cared for in time gone by, what hasn't changed is the love and tender care from a mother to her child. This is constant throughout the centuries.
Gidine lo kie ku chu chung joksum chu chu imbe marovado budi ya amanyum de nya de gidina amanyum de nya gore de amigi pata amanyum de nya gore 진짜 gidina amanyum de subuna ami 되세나 부 chuchina ami pangkala sha 되는 직 pangkala 냐야다 되는 예류인 amanyum de 자냐다 두시 gore 진짜 다 지에 가라 되네 인유 말와 부디게 추주네 기대 예색하가 안 되스티르와다 되스다라 마다디 되다 되스다고 말대 안 되게.
It's probably a little bit different in many homes in the West, I'm not so sure, but certainly in our traditional cultures, when children are born, they are inseparable from their mother for really many years. They sleep with their mother, they spend all day with their mother, and the mother keeps them close. When they're too young to walk, they may be carried. At night, they'll sleep in the bed with the mother. So whilst this may be different in modern Western cultures, I'm not entirely sure, what is the same is the love and the care from a mother to her child.
근데 보디 요마도에 로딘 게 제넥스가 쪽도응 아주 봐도 아메 오마도디고 아메 오마동으로와 제가 다 디와이나메 아직이 오마샤다디마다 아메 오마데티네 뉴뉴로와 되네 just 데이터가 말에
And certainly in the past there was no formula. Children were fed from their mother's milk. That was the sole food for their children. And even as they grew, for perhaps more years than is generally practiced today, they would have still been fed mother's milk.
가서래스네 레 전부 다 되네 메디어는 지게는 좀 부려 수불 뉴그리 삼체 안바 가브리엘 파메 네 가브리엘 파메기 젤리기 수두시네 아니 바직 납두티기 바치다 당하다 되네 용그레 빼잠 제와 파마디 부려 제와 체라지 제와 시부제제 다디 레다 되네 제 부드 주제 부려 빼 차그레 나지 당그레 삼체 빼 잠부지 아미기 젤리기 파 안에 두스네 치다다네 지고래지래 안에 미장와 안에 락베 치시든 부 직침바다야다 조바들 락베기 파 치다다 두스 안에 두스네 지고 제가 소수기 납도 시신거 말에 침바다 장마 수신마 되니 충충갑로 직들 파메기 두스네 다 잠모지네 안에 두스네 그리 양바레스 팅 양바레스.
Not too many generations ago, the way a mother would have cared for her child would have been physically more intimate in the sense that there wasn't a wide variety of materials that were used specifically for the child. So when we look further at the text, then for year after year she prepared her food. So there, as mentioned, when the little would have been from her mouth, for you, and cleaned the mucus and excrements from your body. So in generations gone by, this would have been done with her hand. Or if there was a cloth, she would have ensured it was clean in days when it was clean, or in times when it was difficult to keep things clean. There weren't the materials that we're so used to now. So the mothers would have done this for their child. Whilst there was this a very strong physical intimacy between the mother and the child, perhaps more so in past times than today, what won't have changed is the tenderness and care with which a mother does care for her child, wiping away mucus and excrement, and doing so primarily at her mind. In the forefront of her mind, there's no sense of disgust, but rather concern for the well-being and the good health and the freedom from illness and suffering of her child. That and that alone is at the forefront of her attention.
Da junse na dubar ches. Jesa mahor amahoran kalesh kaleshu kaje pe shisare samsam jik dine yombe ne sosoran la budi nana tes nawen pamade semje che budil jigor soso ke sole budi za che ngi bun chi sen de bul ya nana ane pame semje che jigor jesa dine za pame ge zewa jesa di pamo horon go sol palue na che ane bul ya zewa jigor bu zewa cheche champion chigor jesa dine sa pamani be masralia getting chimbo shiwure sha samsam daya dine.
And furthermore, the text continues, even if she were gravely ill and you contracted a minor disease, she would think solely about you. So here, the child would have been completely oblivious to this, but the mother spontaneously would put the care of her child before her own difficulties and hardships. And children, when they're young and also when they're growing up, are largely oblivious to how they are at the forefront of their parents' care. But now, as adults, we can look back at this, especially if you're a parent, otherwise what you observe in the world, you see how this is true.
Tamje kedo sene dubegu nor mobo rangi beju manuba nam dala jeans. Jesa pamokhara be kale capture kale pene chaba jap nime sobo yene odadinga jigi ponchima momba na budi yakbo konsul kogresne pa gyuchalada benjo saya and the maybe get a bit young giver chivina chile desada giver or that thing I give you dinner and Jema Puzulia Ganga Tigris and the Puzulia to schools and Dinig Dondalia Pametiki Kivu Yobene Kivu Tanlon Mevachen and Gyatso Kuchala Troop Ganga Yobana Ganga Dungachi to Samaris and Mevache Ganga Kedu Such and Kuchala Troop Dinig Kuchala Dunungo but you took in ya Nangachim Naya Nalia Troson Tangachi Lochonja that in the Troson Diana Denia Chimbo Chayu Nalia and the Kambada Dinig Chalat Chasangalo to Stigores Dineza Be Mazipama the Getting Chimboresha Kronzo Gale Yobana Gale Delia and Matsimbacho Benjosa and then Kiwuje and the New York Yobana Kiwutaya Dusumia Matawache and Benjosa Dea Nalia teaching Alia Lobsang Dorje and Nal Joson Taya Nal Dusti Jeva the Pembasi getting Chimbores at Dustin and Pamigi didn't getting Yungor, Denisia Kennedy, some Daji Pamadelia, Tinchembo in some downward research.
She shielded and protected you from every difficulty, gave you whatever she could to help you accomplish your wishes, and anything you could not do by yourself, she did for you. Again, some of this maybe we can recall, but we would have seen this though with either as parents yourselves or what you observe with your friends and your families. Especially when we're little, but also when we're growing up, our parents do everything they can for us. They help us in every way they can, solely out of concern for their children. The work parents do, or the great endeavors they do in their careers, is all so that they can make things as comfortable as they can for their children, give their children the best start they possibly can in their life. And parents endure so many hardships and difficulties which they keep to themselves, they may discuss between themselves, but they protect their children from this. They protect their children as best they can from the hardships of life, rather trying to give them the very best that they possibly can. All that they maybe didn't have as children, they will ensure to the best of their abilities their children get. And they do so not because they want praise or recognition from their child or from society, but they do so out of love and concern and care for their children. In this way we see the incomparable example that our parents have set and how they cared for us in a way that is not found elsewhere.
마랑기 코단 뜀비기 뉴스레 잡 판다비 진제이냐 비교 로제 야면 제바 야미얌바 제자하사 지사 진디니게다 도나 파메게도 스네가랴 디니게 게덴투 수스강바레도 삼다제도 신네 파마 뱀마시가랴 진치모시우 레샤 선별로랴 직슨 초 디니기 요야 지게 로야면치 송아주 지게 가보래 시우치게 저 언디나 신진네 데시 진치모레샤 선별게데네 삼당 공고레스.
The paragraph concludes with, in fact, she protected your life and person in every possible manner. In this way, repeatedly contemplate that your mother has helped you greatly and has been extremely kind to you.
Dene tsedi pamalo sobe ni nyewa namla. Jizanda dene pamalia denigi du samda je ane jinje samda dan gombe gomyo de dene rangi da 파말레 진치모리 선배 섬을 내용도 되네 랑이 년녀와 년녀다 파마마인비 년녀도 디솔레 미제 아니 디솔이야 아니 진치모인 받sam다데 진치모 섬다다데 가르서 땅고래람나 디소 안주기 다 세딜이야 아니 직 파마 분야디기 년디기 마랑기 년 파마지 녀와데 진짜 디 녀의 값소 디치고래사 델이야 아니 파마 년디기야 진치모 섬다 데네 년나 바마리아 진침바삼다 데네 세딜리아 네비기 행기 셈진유나 데술리아 진침바삼다 진침바삼다에 가서는 다들 세디기 파마디랑레 진짜바 나신 지사 건조 체마 개원 년말이야 네 파모 뭐지요레 지사 파마 지디 갑라 세디기 파마디가레 진짜바 나신 건조도 장요레스 삼도스네 삼진기 장바레스 삼다 데네 디나도 디남장 다게 마제바 장기 미취 지도에는 대속에 있으면 차상 알야면 진용하다 장례 대바 진용하래 지상 장례 대바 진용하면서 제산데 din이 잡아대 장례 대바래 사제 언두스는 삼당고래 지래 림버진으로와 당보 아마 파마를 체디 마딜이야 삼다 데네 곰세베젤라 데네 니돌 곰 데네 원데 바말 데네 브라와 지가스는 아주 로디도 친 니베체체르도 잔마 차자 뒤지를 삼다 자와들이 아주 지금 넘니는 마가 삼는 숙침마자 자야를 갈래 하고 책으로 디인자디 림바시도 지리 오래시.
And the text continues, and I just change the translation of one word here. Then visualize sequentially the three categories of beings, those close to you, such as your family and friends of this life, thereafter, neutral people with whom you have had no real contact, and thereafter, adversaries, or those who have or those who have harmed you in this life. So this then is the meditation exactly as I presented earlier, how one first meditates on one's beloved parents, thereafter, all those others who have helped us so in this life and cared for us too, family and friends. Thereafter, those that we largely are indifferent towards, neutral people, those who we consider in this life to be strangers. And then lastly, those that we consider to be adversaries, those who we consider to have harmed us in this life. So we go sequentially through these varying groups of people. And then lastly, consider how each of them has been your mother uncountable times in the past.
다 대야 미텔라 마체바 장기 미셔스랑 아주 미께발 미텔라 아마체바 파마체바디 장래 대바레스 미텔라 장기 미셔 만남 지리게 세디 마신도 뇌발에 얍 판 세메바 답이 진지이 제가 디네 삼다 sem전 탐제다 랑게 마체바디 밀리 미께제 미기 아마체바 파마체용와다 장래 대바레 제가 다 파마기디 제베네 제비 지디 갑라 알야 세디 파마나 되니게 진이 캬바 그래서 sem전 탐제랄 판도야게 진진 세메바지 판시우 도샤 선배게 되니게 다 진진 세메바지레샤 섬지 되니게 삼다제 언두스 공고레제 다 되니 삼다 되지 셰바나시제 나중에 당보 김제 삼다 sem전 탐제랑게 파마당 안된 마제 sem전 탐제랄 진진모 김제도 진 잼베진 셰럽기 김제 디디 삼다제 김제 삼다제 진진모레샤 선배 삼다 다 진진모 임바 김제 삼다 진진모레샤 삼다도 되니 sem전 sem전 사마랑레 진진모레 삼비 삼로디 제지도 냠르 삼다제 안시다 제바 마제바제 다가랑 삼코로랑 계제 로려 제지도 계제 두스콤제 두셰디 안주게 조홈세데 제 당보 아니 제홈세데 제바제다 제바제 안디젤이야 안데리아 조금 삼다 두신의 삼다는 아주 되네 아주 삼로디 sem전 탐지랑레 진체보 임바 레샤 섬에 삼로디 니보 공부해도 따야 되네 땅고 그래서 그러다
And the paragraph concludes, uncountable times have they given you a human rebirth, protecting you as much as the mother of this life, showing you immeasurable kindness, and helping you limitlessly again and again. This then is the culmination of this point of meditation. And it should be now abundantly clear how this step of this particular meditation is so entwined with the previous one, where we looked last week at how all beings have been our mothers over the expanse of lifetimes, and the meditations we looked at prior to that about impartiality, where we came to see that we cannot, with any basis, differentiate between one being and another in terms of the relationships we've had with them, or the kindness that they have shown us, or who is more worthy of our kindness in return, or of achieving their desired happiness. So we come to this concluding point of these meditations, and we come here through using a wide variety of reasons. And again, the more reasons one uses, the deeper the transformation will be to one's mind. And as one feels the welling up of closeness towards others, tenderness towards others, then rest on this. Use reasons to generate this emotion, then abide on it. Place your mind there, rest there. The purpose of resting, the purpose of first analyzing, is because it's reasoning that enables us to dig deeper, transform our mind ever more. And then the purpose of the placement meditation is to strengthen our familiarity, so this becomes ever more part of us. This feeling of closeness and tenderness and intimacy towards all, no matter whom they are, no matter what relationship we can recall with them. We bring about an ever greater feeling of oneness with all beings through using this technique of analytical and then placement, and then analytical meditation and placement meditation.
나는 아주 디링이 당아주기 두스진에 심제 탐제랑게 말 진체 보이면도 삼다제다 고미야디 아주 디셰바디레 제가 당아주 다데 봐도 아주리에 심제 남제 진체 보리에서 하고 마토바디 가르랍나 당아주 깨와 멍볼래 되네게 마멍보 제용와데 당아주기 심제데 진체 보비 전투고 말에 지단 제마도 외상 아주기라 체델이야 진치 뭐 두수 삼당고래서 랍지게 한메로 와다가죠 랍지게 한메와자 니는 아주기 디 랍든 지가 메와자 가도 하고고 말아 제자디 당아주다 상유줌데 람림 롭죠체 디니게 삼다데 델야 안 두수수 공고래 삼다데 당아주 랍지게 합상 랍지게 합상아주 삼마탄타데 신고를 진치 뭐 이마 삼탄타 신고로 디니 자능아주 삼다제 두시네 진치 뭐 디나지다 디니기 당원제 지금 라마 dene sungan tipe mase jin chemboresha sosolya dene lapchiya diring sanji gi namba sanji chomnin digi cheche gi gohabraje denge semjan thamji gi semjan thamji rangila jin chebo imba samna ha de dene gi jaya gohabra songa sum sosolya gawa kyawada gawa komyada dene chene semjan thamji lya 직 dene gi jin chebo samtangi sembe 공구인 sembe samda janga 주게데 나디 진침보 samda 고미야디야 sem제 탐지도 산지고 고방 토비 치르도 인 삼제 제자 다 데네 진산 samda janga 진침보 인비게 체디게 마기 당한수 파미게 깨진침보 제다 samda 안도 제네 야왕아망아망아마 데네자 두 제네 대시바 나신다 산지 라일야 진침보 제바데 다 장메바 치레샤 삼제 데네 samda제 당한 주기 sem제 소수기 미나라 semje 두로에나 수 통성와이나 남사 통에도네 다 소체디기 파마다제 디송알리아 진침부이와 sem비게 삼다 다투와제 도스체는 가지고 sem내야 장도를 제고야바디 데네기 제고야 차고로와 데네 연장 아주 데네기 털려야 지게 강토도 제야디 계신뭐 제거래서 안 디링이네 아주 제야디 데네시 안데 디젤이야 제바데 진침부 인자당 아주 진파 진련줘야 되는 저 진련줘야 내 삼당하다 되는 잠바다 제와 겁나 디골 마셔야지.
Summarize then what we've looked at tonight is we've been looking at this meditation on recollecting the kindness that all our precious mothers, sentient beings have shown us. And we do this through analyzing, recalling recalling what we've experienced, and directly experienced as a child, as well as what we have observed how other parents, or perhaps ourselves as parents, how they have cared for their children. And in this way, we relate to our parents of this life, and then expand it out across lifetimes. So here, by now, through having done these meditations on impartiality and then recalling all beings as having been our mothers, and now this week, reflecting on the kindness they've shown us, come to see that over this inconceivable span of time where we've had innumerable lifespans and unimaginable life forms, we've had this relationship of parent and child many times with all beings. And as a parent, in accordance with their capacity in whatever life form we were in, they cared for us to the very best of their ability, wanting the best for their dear child. So reflecting in this way, we start to feel a spontaneous closeness towards all sentient beings. There's a closeness and a tenderness towards all sentient beings, recognizing them as precious and dear to us. And then whomever we see, whomever we encounter, whosever's voice or sound we hear or call to mind, we'll feel a sense of closeness and affinity with them, recognizing them as having been our kind and loving parents. And in this way, we overcome this really just minor intellectual obstacle of all that prevents us from recognizing each individual being as having been our tremendously kind parent is an expanse of time. That's all. Besides that expanse of time, there's nothing else that prevents us from recognizing beings directly as having been tremendously kind to us in so many different ways. Through these meditations now, we break down this confusion that has allowed the experience of rebirth and this expanse of time to lead us to feeling quite separate and unconnected to beings or disconnected from beings. And through this meditation now, we develop a strong closeness and affection towards all. And I'd encourage you not only to engage in these meditations repeatedly over a sustained period, because they will bring transformation, but when you conclude your meditation, you feel the sense of joy within you. Turn your attention to your lamas and to the entire lineage from the Buddha down to the present day, and rejoice in this opportunity that you've attained to cultivate this wisdom within yourself, this wisdom in your meditation, recognizing your true relationship that you have with beings. And thereafter, commit to your lamas and to the entire lineage to continue in these meditations until the point where actual bodhicitta arises within one. And then next week we'll continue with the meditations that will lead us to become bodhisattvas. And there, the next step in the meditation is the cultivation of the wish to repay the kindness that beings have shown us. So thank you so much, and we'll finish here tonight.